You tune right, you tune to the fountain of beautiful Christian broadcasting network, Rcr Christian Radio and Rcr Christian TV, transmitting to you from Jamestown, North Dakota. The name is Gerald Cummins, and we want to welcome all of you, our many viewers and listeners, and those joining us on the summercast on Sky FM and Sky TV. OK, that's OK FM. I've been told it's also on Power FM in Liberia. ANC TV that's also carrying this live, and Hot FM. A couple of other radio stations are also relaying this broadcast. It's also live on Truth FM, Live FM in Zozo, Lofa County, Joe Africa Radio in Kakata, Super Bonki in Banga County, Banga Bon County, beg your pardon, Banga Bon County. So, for the very best, we say stay tuned. Mr. Cummins, how are you today?
I'm very well, thank you, Gerard. How are you?
Well, I'm doing great. It's good to have you on Rcr Christian Radio and TV, a long-awaited interview, but thank God you are here. And we want to say thank you so much for accepting our invitation to be here to talk to Liberians from all walks of life. How do you feel?
It's wonderful to be with you,
Okay.
Gerard. Thank you very much.
Okay. How do you feel today?
I feel good. I feel strong. Had a very good weekend. Went to some weddings yesterday. So I'm good. I'm in good health. We thank God. Good strength, good health, good energy. And I'm looking forward to our conversation.
I can see that from the tone of your voice, your face is like you have a lot of energy, because I was looking back at your videos, some of your interview when you were quarantined, and then later on you had this legal battle, and after some time we see that everything is over. And I saw you the other night partying so hard. Were you partying because you're out of all of the tension now and getting ready for the real political tension?
No, I enjoy dancing. By the way, Gerard, people think I'm not a good dancer. They think my wife is the better dancer, and she is. But it was a chance to meet with partisans of ANC Global and CPP members in the diaspora, and we were just relaxing and having a good time. So, and again, I enjoy dancing. So, but looking forward to the next 12 months. We got, I think, 358 days to go to the elections. So it's going to get very, very challenging. But we're looking forward to it. We're up to the task.
Okay, let's go straight into business. There are a couple of issues we want to talk about this evening or this afternoon on our broadcast. Over the years in Liberia, the issue of immigration, our borders have been porous. We've been having series of problems, drugs, people using all of our different entries. The Bureau of Immigration and Naturalization have not been fully equipped, training, lack of, good training. And today we found the problem of the proliferation of ghettos in our country. And people are alluding to the fact that it's due to the porous nature of our borders. If elected as Liberia's next president, what are some of the things you are going to do to put into some positive mechanism to kind of deal with the immigration issues we're having in our country today?
Yeah, so like with all of our institutions in Liberia, Gerard, we need to strengthen our institutions. So in the case of immigration, we need to make sure we've got the right leadership, the right people leading that institution. We need to make sure our immigration officers are well trained, are well equipped, and have the resources they need to do the jobs. And then we need to enforce our immigration rules and regulations. This is not about keeping people out unnecessarily. This is not about being hostile to legitimate people who want to come and trade and live in our country in following our immigration rules and regulations. We just want to make sure we become a country that respects the rule of law in every respect, and that includes respecting the immigration rules and laws of Liberia. So again, it's about right leadership in the immigration service, right training, compensation for our immigration officers, right equipment, and then we turn them loose to just enforce our rules and regulations. And legitimate people who meet our regulations are welcome to come to our country. To the extent they pass the rules and the hurdles for working, they're welcome to come and work and live and contribute. But we want to be a country of rule of law. And it starts at our borders. And this is something we'll make sure we enforce if given the opportunity to serve our country as leader.
If given that opportunity, you think immigration officers' salary will commensurate their work?
Absolutely. All civil servants, Gerard, that means immigration officers, police officers, military officers, all the civil servants across the government agencies and ministries, we will make sure that their salary is commensurate with the work. We have a situation now where for many of our civil servants, by the middle of the month, the money they make has run out. After they pay rent and buy food and pay tuition and all the other living expenses. And that's something we need to change. What makes it even worse is that many of our civil servants don't get paid every month. They don't get paid consistently. So not only were their pay reduced or quote unquote harmonized, what even makes the problem worse is that they don't get paid consistently, and those are things we'll change. We'll make sure people are paid adequately to support themselves, what I call a living wage. They will get paid consistently every month, and then we'll expect them to do their jobs and demand that they do their jobs.
Another issue I want to ask you about is the group of 77. Coming up as a little board around the Ken Johnson Road, the Clay Street end, and that of Newport Street. Over the years, people living with disability in our country have been forgotten about. We have not seen good programs. They've been kept in that same facility for the past 40-some years now on Newport Street. No adequate training, no logistics for them, no good program to cater to people living with disability. What will your administration do in terms of giving hope to people living with disability in Liberia? Over the years, like I said earlier on, people have forgotten about them, those adequate programs for them. What would Mr. Cummins do different as it relates to previous administration or administrators that have forgotten about them?
Yeah, as you suggest, Gerard, we have not paid enough and adequate attention to our disabled brothers and sisters. And, I think this has been the case for a very long time. And our population of disabled Liberians, we must look after. And I think, as a result of our civil wars and unrest, many of our citizens, our brothers, sisters, fathers, mothers, were affected in some way. And we have an obligation to look after them, but not treat them in what I call in a disabled way. Treat them as equal citizens of our country. We need to make sure across all public buildings and non-public buildings, meaning private buildings, that they have access. We need to make sure that Like with all Liberians, they get adequate training, schooling, um, academic credentials, so that they can support themselves and their families. This is something we are determined to do. In our political party today, we have disabled representation in the leadership of the party as an example of our seriousness with how we want to treat this community. So, again, I really want to sincerely assure our disabled brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, friends that we will not leave them behind. We will make sure that they have the opportunity and the access to everything we offer every Liberian citizen. And to the extent they need special accommodations because of their infirmities, that is something we'll make sure takes place.
Are
We
they
cannot
playing some
leave any.
proactive
We
role
cannot leave.
in your party currently? Do you have a program set up for disabled folks, people living with disability? Are they actively participating within the CPP or the ANC?
They are actively participating in the ANC and by extension the CPP. As I mentioned, in the leadership of the ANC, we have disabled representation, and something we're very proud of. So we make it a point. We have a saying in the ANC that in the ANC everybody is somebody. Everybody is somebody, and we are deliberate about that. Those words were deliberately chosen, and we try to manifest that in everything we do as a political institution. And that is a precursor to what our disabled brothers and sisters can expect when given the opportunity to serve our country as leader.
Wow. And the reason why I brought that to your attention because one of your colleagues, the former vice president of the Republic of Liberia, most people continue to make reference to the issue of the people living with disability in Liberia. So there was the reason why we decided to ask you the question as to whether we going to see some proactive programs to cater to the well-being of people living with disability in Liberia. But another issue I want to take you on is this, Mr. Cummins, the issue of job creation in our country. In most of your interviews, I've listened to several of your interviews over the years. You've been talking about this issue of creating wealth for Liberians, creating opportunity, creating job. And one thing we notice in our country, we have too many jobless people. And Aristotle once said, poverty is the parent of revolution and crime. Most people notice that because of a lack of job in our country, many people are becoming criminals overnight. In terms of job creation, what should Liberians expect from you? The second part of that question is, among your colleagues, your competitors, who can go toe to toe with you in terms of creating job opportunity or coming out here in the international community to lobby for institutions to come to Liberia or companies to come to Liberia to bring job to Liberia?
Yeah, the saying we have here in Liberia, Gerard, is everybody knows the area, right?
Mhm.
And the economy, job creation, that's my area. That's the area I know best. President Weah knows football. I know the economy. I know job creation. I know how to grow the economy. I know how to create jobs. And so, I would let the Liberian people decide who can come toe to toe with me, but this is my area. I understand this. And let me give you some specific examples of how we'll go about growing the economy and creating jobs. And the way I describe the economy, Gerard, I ask Liberians, let's think about this bowl of rice, because we all eat rice. Some people eat GB, some people eat fufu, domo, but every Liberian eats rice. And that rice represents the opportunities in our country, jobs, education, good health care, so on and so forth. And we need to grow that bowl of rice, make that bowl of rice bigger. And then every Liberian has to have the right to put a hand in that bowl of rice. We will not discriminate, because I remind Liberians, Gerard, that you don't choose your tribe you're born into.
Mhm.
You don't choose your gender, whether you're man or you're woman. You don't choose the religion you're born into. And most people, the religion they're born into, and the religion they die in. And you don't choose to be born a Christian or Muslim or Buddhist or whatever. Just so you don't choose whether you're Bassa, Gio, Kran, Gribble, not your choice. You don't choose whether you're man or you're woman. And so these things, excuse me, these things should not give you any advantage or disadvantage over anybody else, because it's not your choice, it's God, it's providence. So we want a Liberia where those things do not stop you from putting your hand in a bowl of rice, or do not say you should get more than the next person because it's not your choice. The only thing that will limit you, and I will talk about how we grow that bowl of rice, but the only thing that should limit you from putting your hand in a bowl of rice is what you do. Meaning you got to follow the law, you got to obey the rules. If you don't follow the law, you don't obey the rules, we're not letting you in a bowl of rice. But that's a choice. You make that choice.
Mhm.
You don't choose your tribe, but you can choose to follow the rule or not. And if you don't follow the rule, we're not letting you put your hand in a bowl of rice. The other thing that will limit you, if you're lazy, you're not hardworking, you're not eat much of the rice. But that is also a choice. If you're hardworking, you're industrious, you eat more of the rice, but those are things you choose to do. The other things will not matter, and every Liberian will put their hand in a bowl of rice. That's the kind of country we want. We don't want to discriminate against any Liberian, disabled, Gola, Gio, Kran, Va, Madingo, Christian,
So
Muslim,
in other
doesn't matter.
words, you were saying that this issue of job creation will not be based on classism. It will not be based on people
Not
who
at
are
all.
in
Not at
your
all.
inner circle, or friends you talk
Not
to every day,
not
or
at
a
all.
family member bringing a family member.
Exactly. Not at all. Be based on your merit, on what you do, the choices you make, the decisions you make. Now, let me talk about how we'll create jobs with grow that bowl of rice.
Mhm.
First thing, we got to make sure the environment, Gerard, in Liberia, people feel safe, that the rule of law applies. If the environment, people don't feel safe in their homes, in the country, if the rule of law doesn't apply, you will not get people to invest. Liberians, all foreigners. So we got to create the right environment. Then we got to make sure our rules and regulations are business friendly, are friendly to the private sector, that we're not over regulating. Sometimes I describe the fact that we're protecting our pepper bush, but no pepper in the bush. So let's not overprotect it. Let's grow the pepper first before we try to overregulate. So we need to create the environment for businesses to come and create jobs and be successful and do well. We will invest in agriculture so that we'll create jobs through agriculture. We'll be able to feed ourselves. And all of this will help grow that bowl of rice. It will help create jobs. We got to stop the stealing. We got to stop the corruption. If we do, the money that people are stealing, we can invest back in a more productive, in providing housing, in agriculture. Those things will create jobs. We will focus on tourism, ecotourism, because ecotourism will bring jobs. We need people create a service industry, a service mentality that will create jobs. So those are all the things we'll do to grow the economy, to grow this bowl of rice, so that can create jobs, and every Liberian will be able to participate in the wealth our country has to offer us.
Well, that's a brilliant one. But the reason why I'm kind of smiling is like those who come in on board must understand that this policy has to be a policy beneficiary to the masses, not for themselves, but creating a job opportunity. But let's look at it from this point, Mr. Cummins. In terms of job creation, most often we see most of the companies in Maserati. What about the rural dwellers? Today, you live in Morovia. Morovia is densely populated because everybody coming to Morovia because of job. In the 80s, in the late 90s, it was not like that. But today we find all of the companies right there, and people can't go to the rural areas because of road connectivity. You talk about security, but what about road connectivity? Because if you took a company to Bokangile or Fishtown or somewhere in Baman and you don't have good roads, those companies will not be there for the longest, and the people will come back to to Central Morovia.
Yeah, so I always remind uh, Liberians, I remind us that Monrovia is not Liberia. Um Monrovia is not Liberia, and part of the reason why Monrovia, Maserati is as crowded as it is part of it is because of the war, and people fled to Monrovia for safety. Um, but we are where we are. The country is where it is, and the way we will decongest Monrovia, decongest Maserati is by creating opportunities, creating these jobs I talked about in the other counties, in Nimba, in Bong, in Lofa, in Grand Bassa, in Magibi, Kipma, Bomi, Papalo, so on and so forth, Sino, Grand Crew, Maryland, Grand Chile, River G. We need to create jobs across the country. We will decentralize the government. I'm a big proponent, I'm a great big advocate, excuse me, for decentralizing government services, decentralizing government, and that will push opportunities away from rural. We do that. I mentioned agriculture. Um, we will invest in agriculture across the country because that will also create jobs. That will create opportunities for Liberians. We will make sure you mention roads. One of the priorities we talked about in the CPP, in the ANC, is infrastructure. We will have to invest in roads, in electricity, in running water, and in technology, internet connectivity, cellular connectivity. And we need to have that across the country so that you cannot expect people to leave the infrastructure they have to go somewhere where there's no infrastructure. And so that infrastructure has to be built across Liberia. And as I mentioned, agriculture, when you think about housing, all of those opportunities, decentralizing government away from Monrovia, this is how we will spread out the population by spreading out the opportunities, and then we will have a more balance, across our country.
So, talking about the agriculture sector, where your administration gave subsidies to farmers to enable them, empower them to grow more food, grow more rice in our country. I remember some years back, the former Chinese ambassador to Liberia, Ambassador Lenson Tien, said if Liberia at the time was prepared to work with China, they will make Liberia self-sufficient in rice production. You grew up in the borough of New Town, to be precise, in the Point Forward area, and I grew up down Corner West. Anywhere you plant a rice seed, even along the coastal line, will grow. But today, Mr. Cummins, we find ourselves importing more rice when we have the opportunity to grow more rice in our country. If elected as Liberia's next president, will we have this drama about rice? Since 1980, it's just been rice, rice, rice. Will we have an opportunity to grow more rice in Liberia?
Yeah, look, the answer is absolutely yes. Um, we will invest in agriculture. Look, this government, last time I checked, in the last budget, they had 7.5 million United States dollars for agriculture for the whole year in the whole country. They had 10 million, a little over $10 million for executive protection for the president. That's the misalignment of priorities of resources, if you will. Well, in our coming administration, we will invest in agriculture. We will invest in production of rice, of cocoa, of oil palm, of spices. You know, we import pepper from Guinea. All of these things, we gotta change that. What do farmers need? I'm not sure farmers need subsidy necessarily, Gerard, but farmers need access and ability to financing, to credit. That's why Liberia used to have the Agricultural Development Bank. Because when farmers have access to credit, they can buy seeds, they can buy fertilizers, they can buy the equipment to harvest, to plow and harvest their land. We will encourage farmer cooperatives so farmers can work together. And by working together, they can pool their resources so they can buy the equipment, they can buy the seeds, they can buy the fertilizers to plant and harvest their farms. Then farmers need to know that they got a market for the product. So when the product is produced, what isn't sold in the immediate town, village, city, they know that there's somebody to buy it. This is why we have the Liberian Produce Marketing Corporation, LPMC. And that entity would buy from farmers and then export it. Because farmer needs to know that when they plant and grow the product, as I mentioned, there's a market, there's a price that they will get for that product. And so the combination of those things, providing financing to an agricultural bank, that financing will help farmer cooperatives, working with them to form cooperatives to buy the seeds, the fertilizer, the equipment, so they can plant their product. And when the product is harvested, they will know there's somebody that will buy that product so they can make a profit and reinvest for the next season, if you will. We will make sure we bring the agriculture expertise to make sure people are growing product in the right area, that the soil is right for rice in certain areas, maybe for cocoa, for fruits and vegetables in other areas. We used to do those things in the past. We need to do that again and do it well and better and on a larger scale so that we can become self-sufficient, create jobs, feed ourselves. It will help the economy, all benefits of agriculture. Look, the reason why, and they're not perfect countries, they got their own struggles, but they're doing better than we are. The reason why Ivory Coast is doing better than we are, or Ghana, is because they are primarily agro-based economies. The economy is based heavily on agriculture. It's a bit more stable that way. You don't have the vagaries or the wide price fluctuation that you have with the extractive industry, like iron ore and gold and all of these other things. Those things we'll take advantage of as well because we have those. But we need to diversify, reduce our dependence on the extractive industry, and invest in agriculture. And so we will do that with a lot of urgency, and with a lot of passion.
One issue most people continue to talk about is, if I may borrow the words of Councillor Mariah, she said, most of the people coming on your team are coming voluntarily, and people seems to be having problem with some of former government officials who are coming voluntarily to render their services because they feel that the system will change. Let me also borrow from former Defense Minister Daniel Chid in Buchanan. He said, Mr. Cummings told me what is needed in our country today is to change the system. Do you believe that?
Yeah, Gerard, I'm glad you asked that question. It's very all your questions are good. So, but yeah, look, we will not stop people who want to come and support us. I mean, we're in politics. Politics is about numbers, and we wanted to be president of all Liberians, good Liberians, bad Liberians, tall Liberians, short Liberians, women, men. We want to be president of everybody. And people want to volunteer to support us, to convince others. We're not going to stop people from supporting us, right? The other thing I remind Liberians is It's about changing, and you mentioned it, it's about changing the system, the process, the expectations. It's about enforcing the rules and regulations and the laws. Look, the same Liberian people, all of us, see people, you take us out of Liberia and you bring them to the United States, Gerard, or to Europe or other places in the world, and they don't follow the rules. They don't follow the rules. They don't, most of them, 99%, because you got bad people everywhere. You got bad Liberians, you got bad Americans, Japanese, Chinese, Nigerian, right? But most Liberians in this United States country, or they in Europe or wherever, they don't follow the rules. They don't follow the speed limit. They don't drink and drive. They don't rape people. So if we enforce the rules in Liberia, those people who quote unquote we consider bad, most of them will follow the rules. They will behave.
You think so? Will they
Right?
not be
It's
jumping through the
because
windows?
no, look, it's because in Liberia today you can get away with anything, and it's been that way, unfortunately, for a long time. You can commit crimes and you can kill people, you can rape people. I'm sorry to say, and you can get away with it. That cannot be. We cannot accept that. You can steal today in Liberia. The ministers have been sanctioned by the United States government, steal and get away with it. We will be a country of the rule of law. We will be a country where you don't follow the rules, you will get punished. And when we do that, when we change the system, when we change the process, these same people, quote unquote, people called bad, they will, 99% they will follow the rules. And I know that, I'm convinced of that because I know Liberians come to America, or they go to Europe, or they come to South Africa, they don't follow the rules. Same people. So we're not going to stop anybody from supporting us, from joining us. But I tell people, if you join me because you want to come and play big shot when we win, or because you want to come and chop, I am not your guy. Do not support another comment. We don't want people who will come, oh, do you know who I am? That whole big shot thing. No, 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 no. No interest in that. And no interest in people coming to chop the Liberian people money. If you want to come so we can work together, we can make the sacrifice, so we can change the country to benefit all Liberians, please come and support me. But if you come in because now is our time, I am not the person to support. Then you should keep supporting George Weah or whoever else you support. So, yes, Gerard, we're not going to push anybody away who comes voluntarily, but they all know it will be about the rule of law. We have made it public that we support the World Economic Forum Court, but the evidence will drive decisions.
What
We have
sort of
said
evidence will you be looking for at the time?
the evidence that whoever committed the crime. It is not the role of the government, of the leader, of the president,
Gotcha.
is to make sure the judiciary, the integrity institutions have the resources they need to do the work. They have the right leadership, the people with the skills and the talents. And then we get out of their way. Let them do the work wherever the evidence leads. If the evidence leads to Gerard Cummings, the evidence leads to you. You will be punished, whatever the law says. If it leads to Alexander Cummings will be punished, whatever the law says. But we're not going to say, go and prosecute Gerard or go and prosecute XYZ. That's not the job of the president. The president should empower, should enable, should facilitate the integrity institutions like the Liberian Anti-Corruption Commission, the General Auditing Commission, the judiciary, empower them, the right leaders with the right skills, let them do their job, and wherever the evidence leads, the evidence leads. That's the kind of Liberia we want, and we will develop.
Another issue I want to, good that you talk about the TRC. Some of your critics believe that you are not a unifier. Looking at all of the hula baloo you've been through over the past few years, they claim that you are not a unifier. If elected, will you prioritize unity in Liberia? Because one way or the other, you can see that the issue of unity is a serious problem. Will you? Mr. Cummings?
Yeah, look, I don't know what the basis is of that accusation or that allegation, because uh, all of our actions have been one of bringing our country and our people together. This is why we joined the CPP in the first place. And I remind Liberians that we have not left the CPP. Others left the CPP. Others in the CPP falsely accused me of forging documents that I didn't forge. And 5 months of wasted time and resources came to nothing because there was no basis, there was no proof. So that's why I say the assertion or the allegation that we're not unified is not, there's no basis for that. People just make statements and somehow it's supposed to be true. It's not. If you look at the ANC or the CPP, Liberia is represented in that political institution. As I mentioned, our logo is ANC is where everybody is somebody. So it's not just what I say, is the actions. If you look at the leadership of the CPP, the leadership of the ANC, you will see every Liberian represented, because we believe that it will not only take that to win the election, but that's how we should govern. As a people, we talk about building this big tent or this big hut, and we want all Liberians to see themselves and to be in that hut. We talk about this growing this bowl of rice, and all Liberians will have a right to put a hand in that bowl of rice. Because as I mentioned earlier, and I will say so again, you don't choose your tribe. Kio, Kola, Kram, Madengo, Vai, Brebo. You don't choose your gender, whether you're man or woman. You don't choose the religion you're born into. You don't choose your disability. These things should not discriminate against you or give you any advantage over anybody else. We want a country that creates equal opportunity for every Liberian. We now guarantee you equal outcome, because the outcome is up to you, Gerard. But every Liberian should have the same opportunity, no discrimination. Now, what you do with the opportunity is up to you. That will determine the outcome, the output you will have. But that's up to you. And so we are committed to, and we are determined to bring our people together so that we can work together to change Liberia. One of the reasons why the country is where it is today is because of this division. And it's a small country. Estimated is we're around 5 million people. That's the population of Greater Accra, the whole Liberia. Lagos by itself is over 20 million people. Small country, everybody knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. I mentioned I was some weddings this weekend. It's amazing, the relationships. People who know me, I know them, I know their brother, their sister, their cousin, I went to high school with them. It's amazing, all over the country. And so there's no reason why we can't work together. And as the leader will set the example, where we have a government of inclusion, where everybody will see themselves. We don't care whether you're sedition, UP, ANC, Liberty, UPP. For us, it doesn't matter. We're all Liberians, and we all need to benefit from the resources of our country.
We have one more concern, but Mr. Cummings, before we go there and try to open the line, I know we got 1 hour with you, but let's recognize few radio stations in Liberia and network that are carrying this broadcast live. Truth FM, ANC TV, Gangeman Lo-Fi Content, Red Power FM, Truth FM, and a couple of other radio stations. Super Bunky also, I've been told, is also relaying this broadcast. But here is a major concern that I don't hear most politicians talk about. Every time we talk about Liberians in the diaspora, most often people focus on Liberians in Europe, Asia, America. But someone sent me a concern, and I caught this and said, yes, this is a reality. Mr. Cummings, tell us, what should Liberians who are refugees, who fled Liberia during the course of the war for safety. Some are in Ghana, Guinea, Sierra Leone, Ivory Coast, Mali, the Gambia, who believe that they cannot return home today, even though the UNHCR some years back had this volunteer program, but most of them believe that there's nothing called home to come to. What will your administration do to work with your international partners to encourage Liberians to return home, most especially those in neighboring countries?
Yeah, we will actively engage with all Liberian diasporans, including those, as you suggest, Gerard, in our neighboring countries, and encourage them to come back home. But part of doing that is, as I mentioned earlier, we got to create the right environment. We got to create jobs. We got to create the opportunities for them to come to. And so, on the one hand, my primary focus would be on this thing called the economy, job creation, investing in agriculture, investing in ecotourism to help create jobs and bring in foreign exchange earnings, to create an environment where Liberian businesses can thrive and do well, create jobs, create an environment where foreign direct investment can come into the country. And when we do that, as we do that, we'll encourage diasporans to come actually help us do that, but it will be coming to opportunities. And those diasporans, those with refugee status in a neighboring country will not be left out. They will be encouraged to come and join the effort to transform and to change our country. I'm proud to say that the ANC has chapters in African countries as well. And we have chapters in India and chapters in Australia. So it's not just the US and Europe where people focus. And those two continents have the majority in terms of numbers. That's just a fact. But having said that, though, once a Liberian, always a Liberian, and those in the neighboring countries we're going to embrace as well. And I'm proud to say the ANC has chapters in some African countries, in addition to, in Australia, India, and other parts of the world.
So Liberians should rest assured that under a current administration, those who find themselves in places like Bushiboran, Kenaman, and other parts of Freetown should be preparing themselves to come home to a place where they can have job, where they can have opportunities for themselves.
Correct.
Mr. Cummins, let me open the line so that we can interact with our viewers and listeners around the world to give them the opportunity to ask you a few questions. Folks, here's the golden rule. No history tonight. Just go straight to your question to give others the opportunity to ask their question as well. So we're going to open the line and give you, our viewers and listeners, the opportunity. We're going to open two lines here. Those in the U.S., you can call us on the studio line. That's the studio number that you see on there, or better still, you can call us on WhatsApp. So if you're in Liberia listening to this broadcast on different radio stations in Liberia, call us on WhatsApp number. That's 763405433. Just call us on that number. The WhatsApp line is for those in Liberia. Those in the U.S., we're going to give you the opportunity to call us on 720-513-7643 to be a part. So I think we have a call. Okay, this person just dropped the line. But we want to give all of you the opportunity. Everybody wanted to ask question. Now we have Mr. Cummins here. And so we're giving you guys the opportunity to ask your questions. But Mr. Cummins, while we are with the callers, let me pick on you a little bit. When was the last time you was in Point 4?
Earlier this year, I think I went to visit a school earlier this year in the Point Four New Town area. So that was it. That was the last time I was in Point Four. So it was earlier this year. I don't remember the exact month, Gerard, but that was the last time I was there.
Okay, let's go to the line to talk to this caller. Good afternoon. Hello. Hello.
Yeah.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, and you?
Fine. Yeah, I got a question for Arizona Kume.
Go ahead.
Okay. The question I got for him is, I want to know what part of Liberia he's from. And secondly, the second question is, because the people going around talking about gay, and they accuse him to be gay. So when he become president for our country, what he going to do? Because he's going to bring all the gay men from all over the world to take care of our country.
Okay, thank you.
That's why you want to become president.
I'll take the next caller here. Hello. The
Yes,
caller.
hello.
Yeah,
Yeah, am I live?
you are. We're listening to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Gerald. Thank you for the opportunity to ask Mr. Cummings a few questions. So, my first question has to do with, I have a saying called the journey of the city. Where in Liberia is getting messy in the sense that, there is no regulation as far as development goes, right? We all envy other countries, the Rwanda, the Ghana of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard Mr. Cummings one time on some interview, he spoke about national development plan, right? Where he's going to put a plan together and pass the plan through, our Congress, where it will be passed into law. So I wonder, does it still have that plan, where he's going to pass a national development plan? That's my first question. And my second question is, every time Mr. Cummings is asking about the economy, first of all, I have no doubt, in his ability to handle the economy. But most of his answers are always, centered around agriculture, which is fine. But I never, once in a while I heard him speak about, the financial economy, but you haven't really emphasized on, the financial economy. So, are we going to hear like a detailed plan from Mr. Cummings on every sector of the economy rather than just, the tourism and the agriculture industry?
Okay, thank you. All right, let's go to another caller here. Let's go to this caller on 701. You're calling from Grand Forks. Are you there?
Hello?
Hello? Okay, let me go to 414. Caller on 414. Are you there?
Yes. Hello?
Hello, go ahead.
Yeah, this is AD. They call me Rcr on Facebook. I want to thank you, Mr. Cummings. I listened to a lot of great points he made. I want to go specifically to the list. His recent list. I listened to one of his interviews in which he talked about the vetting process, and he talked about people's past performances, how it would predict their future outcome. I just want to ask him, how well did he vet that list, and is he 100% satisfied that those on the list, because we know there are a lot of controversial people like the Yeke Koluba and like the McIntosh and Brown and the rest of other people who were deemed to be part of, stuff in the country. So
okay, that's hold you right there. Let's go to Liberia to take this caller. Hello?
Hello.
Yes, good afternoon. Good evening to you.
Thank you. My name is Michael Waneto. I'm the current National Active Youth Chair of the Liberia Transformation Party headed by Rcr Energy Assembly.
Okay, let's hear from you.
First and foremost, I want to applaud Mr. Cummings for his speech, but I have a question for him because I do Yeah, when he spoke about the issue that have to do with agricultural decentralization
Mm-hmm.
that will help emancipate Liberians. So, Mr. Cummings, my question is, how will this decentralization take place if you are moving with kind of a greedy mindset in our political setting where you don't want to listen to the rest of the opposition community or the opposition political
Hello?
parties, but you are just moving. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you, but you said Mr. Cummings is moving or what? What kind of man said?
With kind of egos and wings. He's just moving with other few guys, a few group of people just fooling.
So is Reverend Kennedy not part of the opposition community? Is he not working or making himself available to work with Mr. Cummings?
Reverend Kennedy is something that's available, but the reason here is
Okay.
Mr. Cummings, Mr. Jerry Cummings. The reason here is that Alexander Cummings is a good man, but there's few brains behind that are making it to die into another way that will not help.
Okay. Yeah, okay. All right. So he got your question, but let's take one more from here. Let's go to hello. Okay, while we wait those callers, let's go to Morovia. Hello.
Hello.
Yes. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon for your end. Good evening for my
Good evening, rather. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, good afternoon.
Johnson, Megalonuna, Alice, Larry African Joy from Kansas City, County.
Okay, thank you.
I want to say good evening to the political leader of the CPP and that's Mr. Zanambe Cummings. Want to say thank you. You thanks for your expose. You found well. That shows how clearly you have a very clear vision for the Liberian people. I know for sure through your leadership there'll be a lot of changes in the first 100 days. I know there are a lot of plans. And maybe for the young people, even at the level of your office, I see the amount of young people you are working along with. That shows clearly that you have a vision for the young people that our generation, who people claim in terms of be our child maker, will be the creator one to make use of every opportunity to give to them. They make use of it, and you have.
Okay, so what is your question?
So I want to ask him as it relates to.
Okay, well, we lost that caller. Let's go to this line quickly. So, hello? Hello? The caller's on the phone line. Okay. Let's see if we can mute some people here. Hello? Okay, let's go to Atlanta, Georgia, and take this one. Folks, you guys got to mute your phone or the device you're using in the back end to monitor. That's the only way I can bring you on. But if we're getting feedback, then we'll not bring you. So let's go back to Liberia and take this one and come back here to take another one. Hello?
Yeah, good evening from Liberia.
Good evening, sir.
Anthony,
let's hear from you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I want to say thank you to Mr. Cummings for affording the time for Liberians to speak with him on your show. Mr. Cummings, I've been following you. You're one person I admire a lot. And also want to ask you two questions quickly. Firstly, you've been opposition since the regime of Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Now you are an opposition also during this George Weah administration. What will become of you if you don't win the election come 2023? Will you continue to be opposition or you want to invest into another stuff? My second question is, besides politics, besides being president of Liberia, what else can you do to help this country? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, let's take a few more callers here. That we got 1 hour with Mr. Cummings, so we got to utilize the time. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, good evening. Good afternoon.
Good evening. Good afternoon to you. This is Evo calling from Minnesota. Hi, Mr. Comey.
How are you?
I get two quick questions.
Yeah.
One, the first question will be, once become president of Liberia, what will be your policy regarding lawmaker driving expensive car? And the second will be a recommendation for us to focus
mainly in Liberia, the very interiors in Liberia, with our grassroots organization campaigning to incorporate everyone. Thank you.
Okay. Let's go to the caller from Atlanta, 404.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, hi. Thank you for taking my call. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I'm hearing you loud and clear.
All right, I just had a quick question for Mr. Cummings. My name is Quay Wesley. So, Mr. Cummings, when you become president, I don't trust this government. If Samuel 12 report that they're leaving you 500 million, it's probably more like 50 million. Do you have any contingency plans in case you get in there and the coffers is not what they say? Because I don't expect our country to have any money after the next 6 years when George Weah is gone. Thank you. That's my question.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's take two more here quickly. Hello? The caller on 150. Are you there? Let's go.
Yeah, this is Uncle Pete, the man for all the counties.
Okay, Uncle Pete, let's hear from you.
I just want to tell Mr. Cummings to realize that the momentum in his camp is very, very, very is at its highest peak. So he should acknowledge and be aware that will be some disgruntled elements that will come in his camp or under his platform to make some derogatory remarks.
Just go to your question quickly, Uncle Pete. Is there any question? Do you have a question?
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the question is, or the statement is, I'm making a statement.
Okay.
To tell him that he should maintain the team Cummings. He shouldn't listen to those people who are criticizing the team that he set up in Liberia, Team Cummings. It is a team with a very great momentum. This is why a lot of people, Liberians are coming, or some Liberians are criticizing because they anticipated those very individuals that he had sent to Team Cummings to support their parties.
Okay.
So he should press on and do not and change anyone on the team. That's all I got to tell him.
Okay, let's go to WhatsApp to take this caller on 918. Hello?
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Hello?
How are you? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Rcr Nimbo. I'm calling from India.
Okay, Mr. Nimbo, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I'm the founder of the ANC India branch, and I'm so glad to be on your show tonight and listening to my political leader, Mr. Cummings. And I just want to tell him that we have his back here in India, and we are going to spread the message. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Nimbo. Thank you for joining us from there in India. Let's go. Mr. Cummings, bear with us. Let's take this to last caller here. Hello?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you. The lady from PA?
Okay, thank you. I'm calling from New Jersey.
Okay.
Yeah, my question to Mr. Cummings is that the government has planned by all means that if at this point they realize they cannot win and they will do anything to stop you by bringing in interim government to slow down your momentum. What would be your next step if that takes place?
Okay, thank you. Let's take the next one here quickly. Hello? 443?
Hello?
Yeah?
Hello?
Yeah, okay. This is John Collins from Maryland.
How are you, Mr.
Mr. Cummings, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. What I want to know, what is the CPP doing with the government about this issue of ledges? Because if we don't know how many people in the country, how do we do a development plan? What are we doing about the voting of our citizens in the diaspora? Because it is constitutional, and it must be that we vote during this coming election. What pressures are we putting on the government? And I will urge us to put even more pressure if it means that we take the government to court. I think we need to do that to force them to do the census, to do the voters registration, and I don't see why, in the third point, why the voter registration can be done simultaneously in the country, as if there are not enough people to be trained to register people to vote. So I just want to know why are we doing about these three things. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Maldo. Let's take one more here.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, my dear.
Okay, my name is Comfort Abu calling from Pennsylvania.
Hello, Sis Comfort. Go ahead.
Okay, I just want to ask Mr. Cummings, because some of us are battered, especially me. I lost my mother in this process of this war crime court. When men like Prince Johnson is passing around and can't say anything. My brother died. Prince Johnson killed my brother. What is he saying about this war crime court? Because I will only support a candidate that will tell me they're going to bring up the war crimes court.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. So let's go to Mr. Cummings. Mr. Cummings, I guess you've been taking note of some of those questions, but one important question, two important questions that crossed my attention: the issue of leges and the concern with Sis Comfort Abu, and what will you do? Because quite recently, there was a series of discussion held in Liberia concerning the establishment of War and Economic Crimes Court, the government being slow on this issue, legislators. When I was in the country in 2011, lawmakers, I remember 2009, lawmakers promised Liberians that they will go to their constituents to talk about what was enshrined in the TRC recommendation. Do you support the establishment of War and Economic Crimes Court? The issue of leges is not something that opposition political parties or those who are in the presidency should take lay back to watch this play under the carpet, because there was a time where Leonard Thomas Greenfield took the legislators to task for keeping the threshold bills for the longest, and we saw that they somersaulted overnight. Now we have the issue of leges.
Yeah, so I think I mentioned earlier in the interview that I was supportive of the War Economic Crime Court. I think I've made that statement very clear, very loudly in prior interviews, in writing. That we just issued another statement to that effect last week, confirming our commitment to the rule of law and to the War Economic Crime Court. So we're very clear on that. The key for me, as I've also mentioned earlier in the interview, Gerard, is that it will be evidence-based, but absolutely supportive of that. That's how we end this era of impunity. That's how we bring closure to the hurt, and the open wounds in our country from the extended period of civil unrest. I remind people that it's about both restorative and retributive justice. But I'm very clear on the War Economic Crime Court. On the whole census ledgers, I was the first, and I think still the only opposition political leader to speak specifically to the need for the census. And yes, is to help us develop the country. Very important to have the facts as to how many people we have, where are they in the country. It has political implications for political districts in the legislature. It has development implications, and we call for the census. But it has to be conducted in a credible way. It has to be conducted with integrity, because it does us no good, and we're worse off if people make up stuff, make up numbers, lacks integrity, and we don't get the true facts as to our census. And so we'll continue to speak strongly about that. Similarly, voter registration, it all fits together. Yeah, I mean, if you don't have credible voter rolls, you're not going to have credible elections. The will of the people will not be reflected in their votes. And so we've been very vocal on that. We will continue to be very vocal on that to hold the government accountable to make sure those things happen um, in the right way. And we've also advocated for diaspora voting as well. And I
Because
think the government.
I recall when you were in Canada, I was watching the video when you said that there's a need to visit the laws because there are laws on the books that give Liberians the opportunity, absentee votee, to vote. So, when you return to Liberia, will you be more forceful on this?
Yeah, I mean, look, that's something we've spoken to. The law does allow for that, and the government just needs to facilitate that happening. And that's something we have advocated and will continue to strongly advocate for. We should not be denying the rights of Liberians to vote, no matter where they are in the world. But to go to some of the other questions that were asked, questions about the treasury being empty when we take over. Yeah, look, that is likely to be the case. I hope not. I hope President Weah and his people are more responsible than that. But given their history, that would not surprise us. And so we're thinking about contingency plans as to what we do in that situation if it does happen. And again, given the history of this government, it shouldn't surprise Liberians that will be the case. But we will audit whatever we inherit. We'll audit the government. We'll trace where the money goes. So they will not take the money and think they can get away with it. We'll not let that happen. But we're planning contingency plan for the possibility that the treasury will be empty when we take over. There's a question about legislature and their compensation, vehicles and that kind of stuff. That is something we're looking at as we are identifying legislators to run on the CBP ticket. We're having those discussions about their compensation, about this brown envelope business, about vehicles. The individual who called is correct. You can't have a country as poor as ours, where people are running $80,000, $90,000, SUVs. That's evil. That makes no sense. Yes, they need to be adequately compensated, but you can't have the speaker or the president pro tem, making as much or more than the speaker and the majority leader here in the United States, one of the richest countries in the world, we're one of the poorest countries in the world. Those things have to change. They cannot be. They're evil. We cannot accept that. And as we are identifying legislators to support in 2023, we're making it clear to them that that's something that we got to work together with them to change. Question about, I mentioned the list of people who put their hands up to support us.
Mm-hmm.
People volunteer to support us.
Earlier on.
Yeah, we're not going to push them away. And there will be more people that will come to support us. There was a person talking about that, the fact that we have momentum, and we do, and we're very proud of that. And we will keep that momentum going and will not be derailed by all the noise. Because I'm happy, proud to say we got wind at our backs. We got momentum, and we'll keep fueling that momentum. And more people will come and join us. More people will endorse us. More people will support us, and they will represent the country. They will represent Liberia. There was the first question, likely from a sedition, the stupid question. Sorry, Gerard, for my choice of words about where I'm from. That's just complete BS. So we're not even address that. And then the question about this gay stuff, that's also BS. It's nonsense. It is not true. When people got nothing to say, they can't accuse me of stealing. They can't accuse me of doing anything with the war. They can't accuse me of anything. Then they make up this BS. Complete nonsense.
I think that's just fallacy.
Yeah,
that's fallacy with no iota of truth. So that's just a way of kind of scapegoating from the reality.
Correct. Thanks for saying that, Gerard. more eloquently said than I. It's just nonsense. I want to thank our ANC India person for calling in. Thank you for that. There was a question on the National Development Plan. Yes, we are working. We have a policy team set up. I'm happy to say they're working on different sectors. So agriculture, financial services, tourism, infrastructure. They are developing commitments we will make to Liberian people, and we'll be very specific. We'll make commitments, and then we're developing the plans to deliver those commitments. So yes, a national development plan is being developed. And by the way, we're not starting from scratch. A lot of work has been done in the Unity Party, did some work. The CDC did some work, their pro agenda. So we're looking at all of that, developing a national plan. But the most important thing is how we implement it, how we execute it. It's one thing to do a plan, it sounds good on paper, which is what the CDC did. But the execution, the delivery, and we're going to focus on the how in our plan. So stand by, that will come as well. I personally asked what am I doing for Liberia, other than being in opposition.
What will you do if you don't win?
Well, let me remind what I'm doing now and what I will continue to do. I'm a philanthropist. We have the Cummings Africa Foundation that is focused primarily on education, on STEM education, science, technology, engineering, math. But we also do interventions in the health sector as well. And so the philanthropic work has been there in the past. It will be there in the future, no matter what happens to us politically. We are committed to that. We have invested in at least 2 businesses in Liberia. One is doing quite well, one is struggling. Gerard, I don't make that public because this government will go after those businesses, they will punish them. And I know that everybody knows that, so we're not going to make that public. And to the extent the environment is created, we want to do more in the business sector, but the environment got to be there, and that's why I am running hard to make my case to Liberian people, and I think Liberians will give me the chance to serve them as leader.
Upon your return to Liberia, what should Liberians expect to see there? Because some believe. Let me tell you the myth that is unfolding around here. The belief you're still in the U.S. because you and one of your counterpart or former colleagues will be meeting to dialogue concerning who's going to go as the presidential hopeful. One of you might likely go as the VP. That's the myth I hear on some of the different podcasts, that you and former Vice President Joseph Yema Boakai are scheduled to meet here in the U.S. to dine and wine and talk about the VP slot. Is that true?
Yeah, look, I'm not running to be Vice President, Gerard. There are no meetings scheduled with the former Vice President. And I remind Liberians that I'm running and I'm asking for and making my case for their support. I will be on the ballot in 2023. And I plan to win. I also remind Liberians, Gerard, that this idea of settling, of sort of planning for failure, planning for plan B, we got to change that attitude. We've got to change that perspective. That's part of what I think keeps Liberians down. They come up with a plan, and before they implement the first thing, they're already planning to fail. They're already planning for plan B. I don't operate that way. I operate for success. I operate to win. I organize myself to win, to achieve my objective, to achieve my plan A. And I've been fortunate, I've been blessed. My life experience tells me that when you plan for success, you work towards it, you pray for it, you put it in the universe, you will achieve it. And I'm working towards making my case to our people, and I believe they will. I believe they will make the right decision, and we will be on the ballot, and we'll win the election, and together with Liberians, we'll start the restoration of good governance and growing the economy, so that we Liberians can benefit from the resources of our country, so that this rich country in resources can also have rich citizens and rich people across the board. So I'm planning and working towards victory, and I'm not planning for failure, which is the implication in these questions and in these assertions. Let's plan to win. I encourage all Liberians listening to my voice. Plan for success. Plan to win. Don't settle. That's what the country needs us to do individually and us to do collectively. And that's what I'm doing. So when I get back home this weekend, I will be traveling the length and breadth of our country. I have a schedule already developed. I'll be visiting many districts across the country. We're recruiting mobilizers. We're engaging influencers. We are making a case to our people. One of your callers said we got momentum, and we plan to fuel that momentum all the way to October 10th, 2023. And that's what we'll be doing when we get home.
Well, Mr. Cummings, we want to say thank you so much. I know we passed the hour already, but we want to say thank you so much for accepting the invitation. We hope that this will not be the first time, neither the second time. We know that when you become president of Liberia, the Executive Mansion Press Code, press team, will give Liberians the opportunity in the diaspora, because you always hear. Let me tell you something. Councillor Tiawon Gonglo was joking the other day. He said, if they should have an election in the diaspora, you will win hands down. And we hope when you become the next president, we will see you as often if possible to be here to interact with Liberians in the diaspora. And if somebody sent me a note from Ghana and say, they look forward to seeing you visit Bujumbura in the coming months or so. They will be happy. She said, we will be happy to see Mr. Cummings come to pay a visit to us, to talk to us, because over the years, our leaders have not been paying attention to us and our quest for freedom. So will you pay a visit to Ghana?
Yeah, I will. Gerard, I will visit Liberians everywhere around the world where I travel. I go where practical. I love interacting with our people anywhere. But the majority of Liberians are in Liberia, and I spend most of my time in Liberia. 99% of my time I'm there. Yes, I do travel outside of Liberia for various reasons, all very positive reasons. But of the 5 million or so Liberians around the world, most of them are in country, and that's where the time and energy needs to be. But also, I make no apology for the support base I have outside with Liberians, and the support I have from the international community as well, because we need all of that. We need Liberians everywhere, and we need the support of the international community to transform our country. And so I'm blessed to have that widespread support. And most importantly, the momentum we're building on the ground in Liberia. So thank you. This will not be the last time I'm on your program. I commit to you now that we'll work with the schedule, but I'll be back on in the not too distant future, Gerard. And any opportunity I have to interact with our people on any platform, I'm very, very open to doing it and make it a priority to do that. So later this week, I'll be on another platform, and it will be broadcast on the ground in Liberia as well. But any chance to interact with our people, it excites me, and to take the questions, concerns, suggestions, even the criticisms. I'm open to that as long as it's constructive and it's not, false allegations and politically motivated. So thank you so much.
Any regret since 2016? Any regret?
No regrets, just a lot of lessons learned. Lots of lesson learned and things I would do different. You know, when you stop trying, when you stop learning, when you stop growing, then it's time to die. And I hope to God I'm a long way from that. And so I constantly learn, I constantly grow, I constantly push myself. I don't have fear of failure because if it happens, it happens. You deal with it and you move forward. So lots of lessons learned since 2015, thereabouts, when I got actively involved in Liberian politics. I would do some things differently, but I'm fine with where we are. I like our momentum. I like
Thank you
where
so
we
much,
find
Mr.
ourselves.
Cummings.
So,
Thank you very much,
thank you.
and thank you for coming again. We look forward to doing this again. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Gerard. All the best.
To reconnect, hey, connect with the Most High. Disconnect to reconnect, connect with the Most High. Disconnect from this evil world, connect with the Most High. I said disconnect.
Having another leader from another leader from another leader, it won't help. Our nation is bleeding. Our people are suffering. But one thing I believe, the Bible says that a leader he ordained before he planted them in their mother womb. And there are some leaders he allowed for a change. This war was for a change. We have turned our back on God. We all confused. Diaspora, Liberia, blood still sharing. What I want to say here today, the problem here is our leaders have failed us. Okay? Number one, the Constitution of Liberia, we need to revisit this Constitution. Because when I came to the United States, the great United States, I love to research. And I realized, reading part of the United States Constitution just on my own, it is the Constitution that makes this nation great. One portion I came across is the 10th Amendment that says it does not belong to the state, it does not belong to government official, it belongs to the people. The 10th Amendment. Secondly, our Constitution needs to be taught in school. That was taken away from us. Yes, I went to school in Liberia. I started with St. Mary. Yes, they taught civil education, but we never had these things. Our people do not know the pillow that brings in investor into our country. Let me be honest. People invest people from overseas because they say, okay, he's from like the white man country, he will bring the ideas. No, our people are not educated. What are the pillows that the international community look at for investors to come into a nation? They look at corruption. They look at your population. They look at the education. There's America, Liberia, and Congo, and this I have a serious problem with it. We are all interrelated somehow. Because these 15,000 plus about 15,000 people met our native women, native daughters, born by them, married to them. We are just so confused. We need to ask God for forgiveness first before we seek leadership. I don't know whether our leaders do pray to God. That's the place God wants them to be. I love Pastor Mensa Otabil from Ghana. When the professor was president of Ghana and his term was over, he was trying to run for another term because this man is so loved by Ghanaians. They begin to, pour him into politics. But this pastor, he prayed, he didn't go to no press. Hello? He pray. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
He prayed and prayed and prayed. He said, Ghanaians, I have prayed to God. This is not where he wants me to be. You understand? We need a leader who will be nationalistic to protect the Constitution. Look, in America, no one is above the law. A police can arrest a senator. A police can arrest his fellow police officer. We don't have that. We need to teach our people the Constitution. And another thing I want to beg the Liberians, like I call all this need, because I want you to know that we are intertwined. The Kappa, the Nipe, the city. We are all intertwined. Okay? First of all, the dual citizenship. Look what's in the dual citizenship. That's a serious issue. Go to Ghana. I thank God for the war. I will say a clean blank. Because we have traveled, we have seen. Maybe because we didn't sweat with our blood. We didn't share blood for our independence. So we value each other. We don't respect each other. We need to be unified for Liberia to be lifted up. The Bible says, for the word of Jericho to fall, it took two to agree. But they're traveling, and this person, that person, we need to put it behind us. So my situation here is, for example, I had a child who came from school one day, 7th grade. And because the kids are taught about corruption, she came, she said, Mommy, I said, yes, do you know that we have free, lunch. We take the bus to go to school, and the roads are built. America developed because of taxes that we pay. So when we notice that people are stealing electricity, or people are having, they are not paying taxes, you need to report it. Just recently, the Liberian guy who is on the council, there are some Liberians that are cooking in their home, because when you own a home, you can have a business. Now, the other Liberians that have restaurants, they complain to the council. And what happened? Rcr came on Facebook and said, I'm not going to get police officer to go from home to home. Get a restaurant and pay taxes. So the problem in Liberia here, let me be frank, we need that 10th Amendment, and we are not American, my people are back here. Ghanaians and Liberia, can you imagine your Ghana man Buduburan can look at Liberia and say, when I get to your country, I will get a job before you. That's an insult. The people laugh at us. They laugh at us. Why can't we unify? So when it comes to presidency or political event or whatever it is, we need unity to press forward. We need a nationalistic person that we have time.
So let me ask you. I understand the biblical aspect of it, and you are 100% right. You are 100% right. It took when Nehemiah went to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem, the Bible says he positioned the people behind the walls. And that's what we need to do. We need to position ourselves beyond the walls of development. We need to position ourselves beyond the walls of justice and peace in our country. But when you look at the three candidates, when you look at the three candidates, and the reason why I'm going to do this over and over, repeatedly, because I see we discuss the everyday issues, but there are some issues that we leave out, and the electors, without them getting adequate information, education concerning the people they vote for, when they vote, we turn around and say, they're stupid. But look among these three candidates, who do you think is prepared to take this nation to the next level in terms of some of the things that you were talking about? I believe one way or the other, somewhere you read that this person said, I will do this. I'm going to, if given the opportunity, I'm going to unify the people, and I'm going to bring them together. Our children will have access to hot meal, and buses will take them to school on time. The teacher's salary will commensurate their work, and the nurse's salary will commensurate their work, and our country will be developed. Look among the three, Cummings, Ure, and Bwaka. Look among the three. My sister, what do you see?
Well, it's difficult for me to say Cummings. It's difficult for me to point out anyone else because I'm not insulting my leaders.
I know.
I'm an African. I was ready Liberia, but I look at our politics like a recycling thing. Honestly, I am hurt. I even burst into a tears with someone in Liberia when I saw kids online and they are not in school, and asking people from overseas to sponsor these kids. I look at our politics, just a recycling, because if somebody comes from overseas, they got to link with those who been there before I was born, before even yourself was born. It's a recycling thing. The whole thing, in fact, let me just say something. Let me just say three things from our national anthem. In union, strong success is sure. We cannot fail. Where is the unification? Where is the unity? With God above our rights to prove, we will overall prevail. How can we prevail How can we prevail when we're only thinking about enriching our children? Look, Liberians supposed to be having scholarship, traveling around the world, come to America, see people struggling. Everybody know, yeah, Liberia rich, Liberia get resources. It's just, I can't really tell you among these three. I just look at the whole politics for us. It is recycling. In Ghana, look at the people constitution. There's a guy who is educated, Alexander Pachibo. That man stood and told the United Nations people, Liberians were born in 1990. I was part of that workshop. He said, but very soon when they turn 18, they have right to nationalize. Guess Ghana constitution. When you nationalize, you can't participate in any government. Even whether you have and have. These people fought. They wasted their blood. They protect their land. Go to Ghana, you won't find no foreigner in any ministry. Look at Liberia. We want to be America. Let us create a system. You know why the economy have problem today?
But in order,
a woman who selling dollars does not even have
I want us to come back.
Account. Everybody making money, change the U.S. dollar and send it home.
My dear, I want us to come back home. I want us to just stick to what we're discussing because I mean you started with the biblical. You started with the biblical ramification. That's what I'm asking you. Like God asked Jeremiah, what do you see? And Jeremiah said, I saw the bunch of armor 3. Now you are seeing something, and if you cannot see among them that you're gonna have a leader. Hello,
I'm here. I don't know. I'm hearing another person saying hello, and you are telling me something too.
Yeah, go ahead, my dear. You got one more minute. You got one more minute to go.
Well, I heard about one Blamo. I saw one Blamo on Facebook. He had that he would build what he said he would build.
Blamo is not
for corrupt people.
Blamo is not on this list. Can we?
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. But for me, if I would have to choose someone, it's so hard for me. My heart may go to Cummings, but like I say, I don't know. All these people have come from overseas, and then things change. So in my opinion, biblically, from where I'm going to tell you, we just need to pray for a good leader. That God will give us that Nehemiah to rebuild. We have to see what they have to offer. Politics is dirty and nasty. It's a lot of things. People will tell you what you want to hear, and when they get there, it's different.
Okay, thank you. He
seems to be a good guy. Cummings seems to be a good guy with good character, but politics, you don't know when it can break. It's like a biscuit.
Okay, thank you, my dear. Let me go to the line quickly. And thank you so much, my sister. But let's take this caller. Gentlemen, we're going to do 1 minute, please. I'm running out of time. Let's take 443. Good evening, 443.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, go ahead. You got 1 minute.
Yeah. Okay. Hello. Listen, when we talk about the three guys, there were two speakers before me that I need to, refreshing them on their choices. Now, my choice would be Alexander Cummings. Why? Amongst the three, Borkai has been in government at least 40 years in different positions in government. But what has Borkai have to show for it? What has he done to affect the Liberian people's life? Even more so, he was vice president for 12 years. What can the people in Lofa County, where he's from, say, this man was a vice president and this is what he did for us? What can the people of Liberia say, while this man was vice president, he stood this way for us? I mean, when you're vice president, you're not a servant. You got to say in the government. Whatever Ellen Johnson was, if you marry a thief, when they come to arrest him, you are a thief. Also, that means you aided and abetted. So, if Ellen was corrupt and you served with her for 12 years and you didn't raise no alarm, you didn't resign, you are as bad as she is. Now, it comes to Brenda Ayure. Brenda Ayure, I know Brenda Ayure when he was with LEC. Brenda Ayure, he's a smart guy. But then they got into this stuff with Charles Taylor. For that, if Liberia is looking for a leader, you always got to realize that Liberia doesn't stand alone. And that's a mistake we always make. Choosing people out of emotion instead of strategy. You make Bernard Ayure president, and Bernard Ayure doesn't have a good relationship with the United States of America, you got a problem. Like we have a problem with George Weah. People in Liberia say, we want somebody like us. Or we know the man was here. Listen, Liberia has a brain drain. All the people who say we don't know the man, how many internationally exposed Liberians do they know? They don't know them because they left, because there's nothing in Liberia for them to do. They left, they want to keep their families safe. They left, they could afford it. They left. And any of these people in Liberia, if they could have afforded it, they would have left too. So to say I don't know somebody because they don't live in Liberia, for me, that's foolishness. The second thing is that our guy like Bernard Ayure didn't have nowhere else to carry his money but in Liberia. That's the only place he could invest in the time. So, of course, he being a smart guy, look at the situation and invest in his money some kind of way. Nobody else was there doing it. He took advantage of it and did it. All right? So I don't know the legal ramifications of Bernard Ayure into whatever they say he was into. But what I know is that none of the three compared to Alexander Cummings internationally. And that is what we need, that international contact to get help for our nation. Alexander Cummings has proven himself to the world as a man capable of intermingling and managing large corporations. So to say that you suspicious, his record is there. His record is there. So there's nothing to be suspicious about. For all the years he's done it, the record.
Okay, we kind of lost him. Let me come right here quickly. Let me take 614. 614, good evening. 1 minute, please. 614. Are you there? Okay. Well, let's move to the next caller in the line here. 925. Good evening. The caller on 925.
Hello?
Hold on.
Hello?
Hello?
Hold on, caller.
I was speaking and the phone went off.
The caller on 925, good evening.
Rcr Cummings?
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. The voice sounds familiar. Who am I speaking to?
This is Mr. Ure.
Mr. Ure, good evening. How are you today?
Good evening. This is Bernard Ure. I'm calling you from Liberia.
I know, Mr. Ure. I'm familiar with your voice. Good evening, and it's nice having you on tonight.
Yeah, I think it's only through the grace of God I got up. You know how late it is in Liberia, but I coincidentally, just ran into this discussion. But look, I want to comment.
Yeah, go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
I want to first of all congratulate you, Gerald Cummings, for all you've done since you left Liberia. I think you're a typical example of an achiever. Someone that left Liberia when things were difficult, and you have accomplished a lot. Congratulations to you and your family.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ure.
I would like to comment on what three previous callers have said. Gerald, you know me better than most people in Liberia. You work with me, and you know what I stood for the time you worked with me. And you know, when some of these allegations are being made, we would expect that you would correct it. Because you know the trials and tribulations we went through when you worked for me. But I want to say something here. I want to comment on people's remarks about Joe Boyka, Ellis Cummings, and myself. I want to go first to the former Vice President Joe Dima Boyka. Look, we must be respectful to our elders. I am a traditional man. And we grew up with certain traditions. We always respect our elders. And where we are today, we need people with wisdom, knowledge, and an understanding of the culture, the economic conditions we find ourselves in, the political conditions we find ourselves in. And it's important that we elect a mature person to the presidency. You know, people keep making reference to Joe Boyka being vice president for 12 years, and he was a part of a government. He accomplished nothing. And look, we all participated in government. People usually elect people who have worked in government. You don't elect people who just come from a country and come to another country and want to be president. You elect people based on their experience and based on their reputation. And I think, you know, of the three candidates, Joe Boyka has the most experience. Joe Boyka has stood the test of time. And he's a relatively decent person. Ellis Cummings. I've known Ellis Cummings for most of my life. When we were coming up, he was in Liberia. He left for about 35, 40 years, and he reappeared in Liberia. Yes, he is an extremely successful young man. He worked for Coca-Cola, a structured society, and he has come to Liberia to run for the presidency. It's his constitutional right. If he is a Liberian, it's his constitutional right to run for the presidency. Let's not decry him. You know, let the people of Liberia decide. But let's go over to Ghana and For me, Daryl, I want the world to know that I do not have to be president of Liberia. I want the best for my people. And I've always wanted that. Liberians, you don't understand how much your people are suffering here. We all have made mistakes and fallen short of the glory of God in our lives. I want you all to know one thing, that I challenge anybody to bring any proof of being embezzling money when I work for the Taylor government. People keep referring to the fact that I worked for the Taylor government. Yes, I did. And I was proud. I am, not was, but I'm still proud to have worked for the Taylor government. It was an elected government by the Liberian people. In fact, he had the highest mandate ever in the history of Liberia to govern this country. And why wouldn't I work for him? You know, there was a lot of accusations. And you know who started it? Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. She started these lies and misinformation of our people, and it became a stain on their character and reputation. I worked for Taylor. One of your callers talk about, oh, I didn't have anything before I started working for government. That's a fact. I was at the age of 29, 30 when I started working in government. Where would I have got the money from? My family was dominantly poor people. My father was an assistant farmer. My mother was a elementary school teacher. We had nothing. But I worked, and Gerald Cummings is a witness to how hard I worked. And many Liberians. In Liberia, the worst crime you can commit is to appear to be successful. We must leave it alone. Forget about Ben and I being president. But we must stop always denigrating our own. We will never move forward as a country. The UN investigated me for many years. The U.S. government investigated the Homeland Security for over 15 years. They found nothing against me. The only thing, and I want the world to know today, the only thing they found against me was that I wrote a letter after I got instructions from the finance minister that the president had instructed that I instruct our agents, an American company, Rcr, to transfer $623,000 to buy 2 ex-military Mi-3 helicopters from Ukraine. What's wrong with that? And I wrote my controller, and I said, by directive of the president, through the Minister of Finance, you are hereby instructed to transfer $623,000 to Sand Air for the purchase of 3 Mi-3 helicopter. What's wrong with that? And Liberians need to know this. I didn't transfer the money. I was given an instruction from the president through the Minister of Finance, and I passed it on to the agent. Nobody prosecutes Rcr, who's managing the maritime program today. Nobody prosecutes the finance minister for his Ben and I because he stayed home and he invested in his country. But I want to use this medium to tell all of our people we must move Liberia forward. And we cannot afford to make any more mistakes. Our people are suffering. I live it every day. Tonight, I have to send one of my vehicles to carry an ill person to GFK. Thank God we had Dr. Ireland, who was kind enough to get out of his home to go and treat or ensure that this man is treated. This is what happens every day. We must lay aside all these petty jealousy and animosity against one another. And we must respect one another. But most importantly, Gerald, the agent of positive change, we must love our people. And I challenge any Liberian to bring any proof of me ever investing 1 cent. I worked.
And you know,
and in Liberia, when you work and accomplish something, it's a greater crime than murder. So I want to thank all of you all. And as we go through this period in Liberia, this is the most challenging period I've had in my whole life in Liberia. It's time for us to unite and stop decrying one another. I thank you all for allowing me,
Mr. Ure,
to say a few words on this show.
Mr. Ure,
yes, go ahead.
I'm going to take a few minutes of your time. I know it's early morning there, but I want to say thank you so much for coming on the program tonight. And we won't be in this chair by the grace of God if you and Honorable Thomas Jokoti Wowoyu and Philibert Brown and the late Harry Gree had not given me the opportunity to be a journalist. Okay, so we appreciate the fact that you are on tonight, and you know me when it comes to issues of national concern. You know me very well. I don't back down easily. and you have been my boss for approximately 8 years, and you know where I stand with issues even up to the days of Tom Kamara and a lot of things that happen in the country. But you know where I stand, and you know when I conduct program, at the end, I made my analysis and I tell people what they need to know, most especially in public relations on a need to know basis. So I want to take this time to say thank you so much for coming on, and thank you so much. I know Mrs. Ure had to give you the opportunity to be on. I remember one time I was driving to work and you called me to say, Gerard, Aloysius told us on the radio. That was the first time, folks. That was the first time out of many years for Mr. Ure to get on the radio. He called me and said, Gerard, I need to get on the air. I said, sir, do you really want to respond to this? You said you needed to get on the air. And I remember you challenged Aloysius Toll that if he produced evidence, you're going to give him $50,000, $50,000. And I've been away for approximately 9 years. I have not seen those documents. Even up to the time that I worked for you, there were people from the UN who asked me how I was managing the radio station. I said, through the art of sales and marketing. And that's the fact of the matter. But Mr. Ure, where do you stand on this issue? You know, one thing that had come out, and that is in public domain, that I'm going to ask you, the issue of war crime court. I was just listening to your interview, and when you leave, I'm going to play it tonight. I was listening to your interview, and you said the issue of war crime court in our country, economic crime court in our country, you stand by your word that you want justice for your people. Tonight, Liberians all over the world are listening to you.
Gerald.
Yeah.
Gerald, I want you to know that I was one of the first advocates of the war crimes court and the economic crime court. I feel we need it. We need to put closure to that part of our history. I'm a strong advocate of it. I believe it must happen. And no matter who fights it, it will happen. You know why I want it, Gerald? It's because people like me have been wrongly accused. And I want to be one of the first, if not the first, to appear and let anybody bring any documents they have. You know, Gerald, I want you to know one thing. In Liberia, we have a culture of talking a lot, saying a lot of things about everything, and knowing very little about anything. We must put this dark era behind us. And let me go further, Gerald. A few persons have taken the beating for an entire country. Like Charles Taylor, he's in jail. Why should Charles Taylor be in jail and Ellen Johnson traveling around portraying the image of being perfect? Why should Charles Taylor be in jail and all the warlords are free? I believe we need total and complete justice. Justice is not for one. And lastly, on this topic, you know, I'm also a critic of the